right click this again. I'm just going to do a quick run by on the map just to show off some changes. I didn't really do this last time or earlier with my introduction. We were too busy trying to get in and get going on the playtime. So just a quick rundown. South America is more or less the same. The colors are very different. You have Argentina, Chile, that's the same. There's a bit of a desert here now. That wasn't in the other one. You have the jungles, right? The railroads are done in orange and black. I'm not sure this designation or change between those. I don't want to say anything when I don't know. Amazon is impassable apparently. I just read that now, even though I previously had troops walk through it. So that was difficult to read from the other side of the table upside down. So yeah, that may explain why there was no roundel on it. But anyway, that's how these troops took over Colombia and Venezuela. Mexico is the same. Panama is the same. Although it does show the Navy base and a nice roundel graphic of the canal. Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, British Honduras. They're all there. In the other game, they were all just listed as Latin America. We'll see. We'll see if that has any play to it. The Germans did line Mexico, and as per the rules, we couldn't find a way that didn't seem to affect the U.S. any. So that's something we should probably get adjusted. I could see maybe aligning something down here, but when you take Mexico, which borders the U.S., and you're at war with other major powers, that may affect the game. The graphics are a little bit different, but for the most part, everything in the Caribbean seems to be the same. North America is the same on this map as it is in the other map, at least on the division of land zones. So it's identical to the 36 map. Greenland here is the same. Tundra there though, so you can't just drive troops on there. Not on every angle. Iceland's there. Britain has London separated from southern England, which is a nice change. The city is a city instead of just a giant territory. France is identical. Colors are a little different, but definitely number values on these things are totally different. But yeah. Spain's the same. Portugal is the same. For the most part, Africa appears to be the same. Sorry about the shaky camera. This is a little oddity here. The Azores is here, and it's also printed here. This one's obviously a misprint. I know the Azores is somewhere down here, coming out of southern Portugal. I know in the previous game it was up here, which is one of these two, which is also not accurate. So I'm happy that they moved it south. Just a little touch up, but as I said, this is like generation 1 basic map here, so a lot of things are going to change, I'm sure. Africa, there's a little bit of change, but for the most part, most of it seems to be more or less the same. There's a few like extra territories in here because some of these things were differently labeled in World War II as a result of the conflict and how it was resolved in this war. The Germans have a few locations down here, etc. This is Ottoman, etc. Right? So more or less it's the same. It's just a little bit, there's a few extra territories in here because of how things were divided. Definitely the Middle East is very different. A lot more territories, etc. And yeah, desert. As you can see, there's deserts all over the place, and then jungles again as well. Iran is still in 3 parts. It's just divided differently, right? In the first one, in the 36, this was a separate territory here that touched both of these, right? The central didn't have a, like central and southern Persia were together. There was this, Tehran was over here, just under where it connects to Turkmenistan. A little bit different. Russia's basically the same. Turkey's basically the same. These here are a little different, but that's, like I said, how things were at the time. Italy's basically the same layout as it is in 36. Germany's more or less the same. Poland's changed in shape a little bit because in 36 it comes up here, right? West Poland. But the same number of territories exist right in here. This here is a completely different layout. There's a few extra locations like Moldova, Montenegro, what is this, Serbia, Bulgaria is there. This is Romania. So Romania incorporated Moldova and some other stuff. East Hungary, West Hungary, that was a little bit different laid out. Yeah, Yugoslavia doesn't exist here right now. Albania is still there. Greece has got 3 locations there. Greece is the same. Up here, the Scandinavian area is pretty much identical, right? You got your 3 Finlands, and this was Russia, Karelia and Murmansk. Denmark's the same. France is the same. Belgium, Netherlands the same. This area in here is identical, minus the Moldova and West Poland being a little bit different. Russia, identical. There's a few additions like tundra at the top and deserts in the bottom here, some spots, but otherwise Russia is identical to 36. Taking a look here, Afghanistan and India are the same. Same with everything in here. I'm just taking a peek here. Mongolia is the same. China looks to be the same except for this German Shandong is an addition. The Japanese Port Authority at the bottom of Johor is different, and Japan only owns Korea. This is all Chinese at the time now. Japan's the same as 36, although I have a feeling there's supposed to be something different there. I'm not sure what. There's some stuff different in the Pacific, and I can't place everything. So I know that the Dutch East Indies is the same as the 36. This is just split into 2, and the previous one, this was Australian, but now there's this Kaiser Wilhelm's land. The Caroline Islands in the other game was up here, and the Marshall Islands in the other game was over here, I believe. Yeah, here and here. So that's changed things, right? Just slightly off from where they were in the last game. My understanding of geography in the Pacific Islands is not good enough, though. Yeah, a few things are pretty good. A couple things like this were, obvious edits, but that's okay. I'm just gonna water through a little bit slower here. So I'm just gonna take a quick scan through in case you guys are interested. Who knows? Maybe there's something that needs to be done. I'm not sure. This could be a correction in the positive. So, alright. Still split. Krill, Midway. One thing I'd like them to do with this map here, let me just get that out of the way, is if they're going to do something, like, I appreciate the fact that there were shipyards here, there's factories here. Give Russia the same thing on that side. Give Japan something. It gives Japan more targets. It gives the game a better chance to flow. It gives you everybody opportunity to go both ways. You got the Americans going both ways. Let everybody else get involved on both sides, you know. And I still can't wrap my head around the necessity for all these extra ports. Honestly, I preferred the old way where you had a port and a Navy base. If you wanted to put a dockyard in the middle where you could repair a capital ship, but honestly, this is a separate economy, right? It's money spent totally different. And they did build some ships here. I don't care what they did historically. I'm sure Russia didn't historically build battleships, but it's allowed to, right? Give these guys a chance to build a battleship just to put that crazy sculpt on the map. You'll sell some extra scopes. Same thing with if you can sell an Australian battleship. Why? Like I give them the opportunity to place a battleship. Why wouldn't you? I understand you're not going to spam it all over the place, but the income of all the games here for Australia and here is pretty low. Another thing, speaking of that, I had no ability to build any ships here, even though I had a Navy. And then once I lost my Navy, I couldn't replace it. So I've been getting constantly spammed by transports that I can't fight, except for with a fighter that attacks at 2. There's a range of 2. So basically combat air patrolling against transports. So I need to have a landing like one, right? Yeah, it's nuts. Definitely, you need to make sure that every nation has the ability to build some kind of ship. I don't care what kind of ship it is. Personally, I think you should give them the opportunity to build any kind of ship they want. If somebody with the Ottomans $10 a turn was to be crazy and build themselves a dreadnought or a battleship, whatever version of game you're playing, let them. It may twist their strategy in the sea, but it'll certainly sink their strategy on the land. So let it happen. Yeah, that's all I got for the map. For the game, I was happy. Not sure if I mentioned this earlier or not, but I really actually like the 3 turns in a year. You get that kind of grindy feel with the 1 round only allowed in a trench or a mountain, but it's that 1 round. Then it's the next turn, the next guy's turn, right? Next turn, try it again. Kind of grindy because each turn you're trying to do it, but you're not stuck rolling the same battle forever. Is my only complaint with the Vichy and the 36 is that sometimes that German turn was 2 hours long of double impulses, rolling Vichy, doing all your convoys, non-combat moving the Vichy stuff. It got long, and kind of kills the fun sometimes if it gets too long. I'm hoping that this game can be fast-paced enough. Like it's complicated and long, but it should be fast-paced enough that the turn doesn't feel like it's dragging. You shouldn't need to be an expert in history or an expert in this rule book in order to get ahead. It should be nice, simple mechanics. For the most part, it is. For the land stuff, like I said, with the U.S., I have no idea how to figure out their economic card. That looks like something that should be like a U.S. economic expansion kind of thing, with a fancy chart kind of like this, or the diplomacy chart where they can do a flow chart showing where they have what is that called? Not arms buildup, but there's something else here. Yeah, war credits. There we go. Sorry, different terminology. I'm not too familiar with all that. Instead of heavy armor, say German war credits, and like a chart kind of like this, and or that, something like the diplomacy chart, and you can track how much war credits everybody has and all that stuff. Tracking who's built what and whatnot, and a little bit of clarification. We couldn't tell if by the British building a unit using what is it? What is that called? Arms. using the American factory, and the Americans got $1, but it sounded like they got $1 in the bank. But what would make more sense is for the Americans to get $1 on the income chart, moving towards war economy. That would be smart, right? Something that speed them up, because the Americans are only at 30, and a lot of that is 8 points thanks to that end of turn event, and they're only halfway through 1916. I mean, if they roll a couple of sixes, they can reach 42, but they have to roll 2 6s. So more likely there's going to be 3 to 4 turns. So late 1917, they'll get into the war. They'll give them 2 turns to cross the Atlantic, and then another turn to move their units into Europe. And the last turn of the game, they might engage a German or an Austrian in Europe somewhere. So yeah, it's kind of needs to be sped up a little bit somehow, right? And again, there's no reason for the Central Powers to get involved at all. Anyhow, I'm gonna leave this alone. I like the concept. I'm really happy for the chance to play this game. Hopefully we can put our input in, and somebody's either thought of something else, or maybe I can, or us or somebody else collectively can make a comment or two that makes sense to them, get this game out, get this game adjusted. I'd prefer this game to come out with a rule book that's 100% day one, rather than having to do a version 2 or 3 or any of that stuff. Alright, and on that note, I'm going to let you go, and hopefully you guys enjoyed a little sneak peek of this map. I certainly do. It's the one I've been looking forward to for about 2 years, and the fact that I got to actually participate in a play test with General Hand Grenade here and hopefully get it going is excellent, because I'd like to play test this game over and over and over again. I got a group of guys that probably participate in that too, but we'll see. I don't have any of the materials, so I'll have to come by and visit more often. Anyway, bye.